Welcome everybody, come on in. Those notifications are now pinging to say he's gone live, so come on in. I know many of you are replayers as well, so welcome. I can't wait to get started. It's great to have you here. So if you're here, drop me a line. Say hi in the comments. Where are you dialing in from? I'm here at home in the UK, in Gloucester. And this is going to be a great session. I've got some really powerful messages to share with you, but we'll really put it in the context of what's happening in the world right now. And it is all about, if you know what's really scary. So can't wait to get started. Just going to give people a moment. Like that and get some live viewers. It's great. So thank you for joining. Give us a hell yeah in the comments. Say hi. It'd be great to see you. You know what this is like. Sometimes the comments come out, sometimes they don't, but hopefully they will. So comment away, and as we go through the session, you know, any insights or sparks, share them, because I guarantee it won't be just you that's thinking it. And if you've got any questions, please ask them as well. And if I can answer them during the session, I will, or I'll get back to them afterwards. You know me, I always go through every single comment and make sure that, you know, everyone knows where they're at and you get the response that they need and that they're acknowledged. So I can't wait. So play full out, right? That's what we say. Just play full out. And we'll get through this session as quickly as we can, but we're going to spend time really sharing the powerful messages about, you know, what's really scary. What we think scary, maybe what's really scary. So I think we're going to get started. I can't wait. So thank you for the live viewers. Thank you for everybody else that's on the replays. Let's get started. So, you know, it is a play on words, okay? So as we record this right now live, it is Halloween, okay? That said, this session can be viewed at any point during the year. You do not need Halloween. You do not need a new quarter, a new year, or a new month in order to put into practice what we're going to talk about today. This is evergreen, you know, but we're recording it on Halloween and we're using that scary term because there is a lot of fear out there at the moment, and maybe you're feeling it, or people around you are feeling it. And so it's really important to acknowledge that. We just can't march on and just ignore what's going on in the world. But what I'm going to do today is just put some of that into context. And then I'm going to give you a framework, a really simple but powerful framework that I use with my clients, that many people use, to really get that clarity on moving forward. And it's a really simple 3-step process. So I'm going to share that after the scary stuff, okay? Because it's then going to all make perfect sense. It all leads to that. So let's get into it. I mean, put in the comments, and I'm kind of hoping that the comments are going to come up. If you're there, just give me a comment, say bye. It may or may not. Put in the comments what out there. I'm not talking about, you know, I'm scared of spiders or scared of heights. You know, if you've seen my stuff before, you know, I can cover that in other ones. I'm talking about kind of out there in the world right now. You know, the day-to-day, what we're seeing, what we're observing, what we're experiencing out there in the world. You know, be interested to know your kind of view on this. Like I say, live people, what is this? Halloween. People who are showing it live, but also the replayers. What are you finding that's scary, that's giving you doubt, that's worrying you, that's concerning you at the moment? For me, for a lot of the people I'm talking to, a lot of this is around, and I can see that new people are coming in, so fantastic. We've just started. So right now, out there in the world, there are kind of 3 things that, I mean, there are more, right? But 3 sort of topic areas that are really worrying people. And one is the economy, okay? So the economy is tanking. We're going into, or to be honest, we probably are. Hey, Sebda, it's good to see you. Throw us in a comment so I get to see if I can see the comments. Not that I'm needy or anything. Just if it works, then I can obviously respond in the moment. So the economy is something that's kind of, you know, we're going into, or we are in recession. It's not where it needs to be. Inflation is up. The interest rates are going up, which, you know, okay, interest rates are going up in a way that does not excite investors. It's not going up enough to get them excited, but it is going up enough for people that have got products and services associated with interest rates like mortgages. So all of a sudden they're paying £100 more a month than they were, a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So the economy is kind of all over the place at the moment. And I don't need to say it, right? All the rising prices. I'm going to lay it out and teach you to suck eggs with this, but it's the stuff out there that people are going, I'm worried about this. I've got doubts about this. This is all a whole bunch of uncertainty. It's a whole bunch of change, and I don't like it. I don't know how to respond to it. And actually I'm reacting to it because I'm just getting stressed and I'm worried about it. Okay, so you've got everything from the fuel bills. It's kind of started with the fuel bills, didn't it? That went through the roof. It kind of come down a little bit now, but as far as I'm aware, the drivers that they were always saying was driving the high prices, which was kind of that demand, and then the war in the Ukraine, which is another thing that people are worried about, right? There's a war in the Ukraine. As far as I'm aware, demand and the war in the Ukraine haven't changed, and therefore the prices have still come down. Maybe it had something to do with the fact that all the oil companies recorded record profits, and then they got lambasted for it, and then they'd be doing something and adjusting the prices. Who knows? Who am I to say? A little bit of social commentary there. But fuel prices, we've just said the war in the Ukraine was pretty uncertain. And then it went from fuel to then, it's the electric prices, it's the gas prices, it's your household bills. It's now your food bills, it's your clothes bills, it's your travel expenses. It's everything. All prices have gone up, right? Can we, have I misread the situation? Can we all agree that, everything's gone up? And it doesn't matter how much money you've got in your bank account. It matters in terms of how you can maybe cope with those things. And I don't like people coping, but they can respond to those things. But it affects everybody. Everybody's prices have gone up. The cost of living has gone up. The cost of business has gone up. Hi, Joe. So all of that puts pressure on us as individuals, but also businesses. And I know that a lot of you here are business owners. So this is really important because we're looking at it from 2 points of view. We're going, my business, my prices, my costs may have gone up. And then you've got the storytelling in the back of your head going, oh yeah, but everybody's struggling out there and there's no money and nobody's got anything and they're cutting back and how could they afford my services, right? We've got all that storytelling, which may or may not be true, right? But then we've got the personal side, because our business is probably funding our lifestyle and our bills and all that kind of stuff at home. So it's like, that's gone up. So we've got to make my business work harder, but have they got the money? And I don't know how we're going to do this, and we want this kind of same lifestyle, but all of a sudden everything, it's all snowballs, and it becomes very personal, doesn't it? When somebody starts messing around with the money in your pocket, it becomes very personal. And this is the big thing at the moment, right? We call it, say, the economy, but it's everything to do with money. And money is not everything. You've heard me talk about this before, right? Money isn't everything, but money does allow you a certain standard of life. It can enable opportunities. You can do a lot of good with money. So we kind of do need money to live and breathe in this economy. But when it's being squeezed, it can really, really put the fear in people and the doubt in people, because we don't know how we're going to cope with these things. We don't know how we're going to, how we're going to pay our bills, and that's a big thing. Okay, so I don't have to labor that point anymore. It's obvious. It's where we all know where that is. So there's a lot of fear, a lot of doubt, a lot of uncertainty around that. So the economy going into the bills, and then on top of all of that, if it wasn't, got the wars and all that kind of stuff as well. I said about inflation and interest rates, and we called this, this isn't me patting myself on the back. My peers and I, because I was in certain circles 3 years ago, they called this out, and they went, we're heading to really high inflation. And we weren't at the time because we were in the pandemic. And they were saying, if you don't make, in terms of revenue or income, 20, 30, maybe even 40% more than you're making right now, you're going to struggle. And people looked at them and went, you're crazy. We're just focusing on the pandemic right now. But as the government's flooded the market with money, the trillions of dollars in the US, the billions of pounds in the UK, as we flooded the economy with more money to help people out, rightly so, there's one outcome of that: inflation. So the reason we're where we are right now is because of the amount of money. So when then the governments start handing out even more money, it isn't going to help inflation. I think we found that recently, right? It doesn't help. It's going to increase it more. So it's a real difficult situation right now that we don't need to understand all the mechanics of it, but we need to understand it's tough, and we do need to understand that this is not something that's going to last a couple of weeks or months. You know, earlier in the year, there were people saying, that politicians saying, you know, it's going to be a rough couple of months. Are you kidding me? We're in an economic cycle. So I want to be brutally honest with you, right? I just want to be honest with you, because then we can deal with the situation. We're in this for the long haul. This is years. We're in an economic cycle. Economic cycles tend to last about 5 to 7 years, right? So I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know when it's going to end, but I do know it will end. I do know that spring follows winter, right? We do come out of this, but it's going to be a tough situation to navigate over the next few years. So if we can be honest about that now and look at what's scary, what's scaring us, but also what's in our control, then we can be able to start doing some stuff about it. And that's what this talk is all about. It's kind of seeing the world for what it is, not painting it more of a catastrophe than it is, which I think we can do really well. It's about going, well, this is what it is. Okay, what can we do? If we've got the economy, we've got the bills, we've then got all the politics, right? And I'm not big into politics. I have no interest whatsoever. But, you know, number 10 in the UK has just become an Airbnb, right? We're just coming and going nowadays. It's like a national joke. So the leaders are coming in, and then different people are coming in to sort of deal with the economy, but maybe they were doing a different job before. And, you know, leaders around the world, politically, there's a lot of change and a lot of instability, a lot of distrust, a lot of uncertainty, knowing that these people are responsible for policy that will ultimately impact us, right? So with all of that change on top of all the other change, right, you can understand where we're coming from and go, damn, this is a tough situation to be in, right? And in the UK and the Commonwealth, obviously we had the passing of the Queen, and now we've got a king, right? And again, when that happened, there was a lot of uncertainty, and a lot of people were genuinely scared. Oh God, what's that going to mean? You know, literally the head of state, that it doesn't get any higher than the Queen or the King, you know, in terms of our culture and our system. You know, that's changed. God, what's that going to mean? You start putting, like, just one of these things can cause some fear, some anxiety, some worry, some uncertainty, some scary stuff, right? Just one thing. The fuel price is going up. Nothing else, right? Just the fuel price is going up. We get, geez, you know, I've got to travel, and, you know, what's it's going to mean? But when you stack all of these things up, and some of them seem small, but all the small things stack up and suddenly they're quite big. And then some of them are pretty big things. We feel they're big. We also don't probably understand them fully, so then that's even more uncertainty. Man, we're in a scary, scary place, right? So can we agree that, you know, thanks, Martin. Thanks for the inspiration and motivation. You just painted a bleak picture of the world. I'm painting a realistic view of the world, but it's going to get better, okay? It's going to get better. Because all of this makes us very uncertain. And it is scary. So what do we do? As business owners, as bigger businesses, as individuals, what do we do during these sorts of times? Hey, Adam, it's good to see you, my friend. Thanks for joining. How do we respond? And you've already seen it, and maybe you're already doing it. Cut back. You've seen big companies, and some companies were like out the block so quick. You know, the stuff that's happening now hadn't even happened. But it was like the first sign of, oh, this is economy. They started, you know, getting rid of mass swathes of people. Ironically, and something that really, really got me here, got me in the belly, in fact. You know, a very large financial services company got rid of an entire division in the run-up to what they knew was coming in terms of recession type situation. But that same division, the people that put the work in, put the effort in, and got them through the pandemic. It's like, damn. I know they say, life isn't fair, but that is it's just a reaction that is out of proportion, because these people, if they were that good to get you through a pandemic, trust me, they're that good to get you through a recession too. But we're seeing it in all kinds of ways. I come from that financial services background, and I had to restructure every 6 to 18 months without fail for 20 years. The fear culture that creates, you can't replicate that without having a restructure every 6 to 18 months. You are always looking over your shoulder, always having to do more and prove yourself more, because you don't want to be the first one out in the next restructure that's coming around the corner. But this is also how a lot of businesses that maybe don't do that cycle, and I really don't recommend that as a cycle, and I think it's a great business model to have. This is what people are doing now in businesses, but also in small businesses. You cut back. Suddenly you're cutting back your costs. Suddenly you go, oh yeah, we could do without that, or that piece of software, or we won't do that. We'll take that product off, or that service off, or you start streamlining is good, but if you're just cutting back, you're just gonna play small. And as fellow business owners, I'll get to the personal stuff in a minute, but as a fellow business owner, now is the time that people out there need us. We've just painted the picture. They are worried, they are anxious, they are uncertain. They don't know what's going to happen. Some of them are struggling financially more than others, but there is still a heck of a lot of uncertainty going on, and they know that really this probably isn't going to get better anytime soon. How on earth are they going to sort this out? And they're looking at it going, all the prices are going up, and it might be their expenses are now up in business or personally 20, 30, 40%, but their income isn't. There are some companies out there that are giving out some bonuses or giving out some rises and stuff, and that's amazing. But even then, that's not enough to cover, for the next few years as to what's going to happen. But most people aren't in that lucky situation. So they've still got the same salary, or their business is still generating the same amount of money as it always used to, but now everything's going up and it's going to get worse. Therefore, we're now in a position where God, how can we deal with this? What can we do? And then you'll go, right, well, we need to save costs, so I'm going to cut this, and then you'll start storytelling and go, well, nobody's got any money out there, so, oh my God, where am I going to get some clients? I need more clients, I need more revenue. And you go, well, you could put your prices up, and you go, oh, I can't put my prices up. God, I can't do that. They haven't got any money in the first place. And I know we all serve different people, but that story then restricts us doing things. But it's not all about prices, it's about showing up for the people out there that need us right now. If we scale back, we don't help as many people, and they need us. And trust me, if you can help the people now through these tough times, if you help them with that certainty, if you help them get through this, whether that's emotionally, whether that's business-wise, whether it's health-wise, whether it's financially, in whatever capacity, if you help them through the tough times, they'll become your ardent advocates. They will attract more people for you to help. And when the good times come back, the economic good times, because there's always something that goes on in the world, right? When the economic times come back, they will still be your most loyal and most supportive advocates. And imagine if you can do that during the bad times, imagine what can happen when things are looking a bit better. Imagine where you can fly using exactly the same strategy. But you can't do that if you cut back. It doesn't work like that, right? And I come on to, so that point, we all get that? Understand that, business owners, right? And I know that there's questions about, yeah, that sounds great, Martin, but how, right? So we'll come on to this, because you'll how yourself out of it, right? I'll come on to that in terms of the 3-step strategy later on. But in business, it's like, oh, we scale back. But we do it personally, don't we? You start looking and go, I need to cut back on this and this and this and this. Now, I am very much an advocate for don't spend any more money than you need to. Like, for the same product and service, don't spend any more than you need to. Like, this is why we shop around for insurances and mortgages and your fuel, your fuel, garages you go to, maybe. But your electricity bills, your gas bills, right? You can shop around so you get the same amount of service. Again, don't go for cheap and cheerful, and then when you need their help, their customer services is rubbish, right? Sure, we've all got stories like that. but don't pay any more than you need to for the same quality that you want. Just like, that's cool, do that, you know? If you're not using something in your Sky package, then get rid of it, right? Every penny counts, you know? So I'm always an advocate of that, but it's then when we start scaling back and we're like depriving ourselves of experiences, of a quality of life, because we're cutting back on the things. And I get it. It's very natural. It's the way of the world. It's what's always happened during these times. So we need to be careful. I get it. But if we start cutting back, we're playing small again. We're doing exactly what the businesses do. And then we can't live the life that we want to live. We don't have the quality of life that we want. We don't have the quality of the experiences that we want with our family. And it's not just money, because you start cutting back on the money, you cut back on what you think is possible. Some experiences are amazing and magical and bring families together, and they cost zero. But you now won't look at those because you're cutting back, because you're playing small, because you're going, oh my God, all of this out there. And it feels like you've got no control, doesn't it? And it feels like you're being suppressed. And that's the feeling that I'm getting from a lot of people that I'm speaking to, and a lot of people that I'm seeing, especially on like social media, and they're lapping up everything that the media is saying, and they're watching the news, you know, so much more than they ought to, and they're buying into all the messages and the fear, because that's just generating more fear or uncertainty. It's like all of that makes us then go, this is a very scary place to be. We on the same page? If it's not you, cool, but I bet you know somebody who's like that. I was speaking to somebody the other day, and all of a sudden they were talking about, oh, they're going to cut the power. Oh, we're not going to have any heating or electricity. They're going to cut the power in the winter. I'm like, what? If this happens, right? It might happen on one certain day, but the likelihood of that happening, no. But they were really worried about it. It's like, wow, we can get really worked up because we're seeing the messages, we're hearing the messages, and then we're compounding it with all that other change and uncertainty that we've talked about already, and going, damn, this is, well, I'm going to believe that as well. And quality of life just goes through the floor in these moments. But I want to be honest about it, and I also want to acknowledge it, to go, yeah, that is where most people, or a lot of people, are right now in terms of what's scary. What's really scary? What's really scary is all the economics, all the bills, all the changes in politics, all the wars, everything that feels out of my control. And it's interesting because that's exactly what it is. It's out of their control. It's gonna happen anyway. Therefore, if it's gonna happen anyway, it's not really about us fighting it or reacting to it. It's about how we respond to it with what's in our control. I will come on to this, but I just want to add a little bit more scary, because our brains, I'm not going to go into the psychology, but our brains, right, are always on the lookout for the scary. You know, it's our survival brain, it's kicking in. So when we've got, it used to be a saber-toothed tiger, right? We go, saber-toothed tiger, what am I going to do? Fight or freeze, all that kind of stuff, right? But nowadays, our saber-toothed tiger is political change, monarchy change, increases in bills, increases in fuel, economies tanking, economic cycles, inflation, interest rates. Those are all our saber-toothed tigers now, but the reality is they're not going to come and bite you, right? They can have a material impact, but it's not to the not as detrimental as that saber-toothed tiger right in front of you. There are things that we can do. And so our brains are always on the lookout for change and uncertainty. And very often it doesn't like it. Yeah. Very often, most people, without having surveyed every nearly 8 billion people on the planet, most people don't like change. Now, the irony being, if you've seen my other trainings on like the 6 human needs, certainty and uncertainty are 2 of our human needs. And some people play in different areas. So people like certainty, they like structure, they like to plan, they like to know what's going on. Well, in a world where it feels pretty chaotic right now and there's a lot of change and uncertainty, you can imagine how stressed these people feel. Have you got people like that in your circle, your friends, your family? Is that you? Is that your clients? Are they there? Do they live there? Because they need a lot of help right now. Now, the people that like uncertainty, they like to be spontaneous and they like to, new experiences all the time, and it's cool. But equally, so they might not be as phased with some of this stuff, but what they do need is a little bit of certainty. They need a bit of structure. They need a bit of planning, because in order to reach the goals and to do the stuff that they want to do, they would really benefit from a bit of certainty, which we can provide in our businesses. If you're a business owner or if you're in a business, it's often what we provide. So when we understand what people are like ourselves and also out there, and we go, well, how are we reacting to this? How is our brain reacting to this? Actually, it's just trying to keep us safe. The trouble is, with our brains trying to keep us safe, it's going, oh God, I've got this change. I'm going to play small. I'm just joining the dots for you. The trouble with that is, on the other side of change, on the other side of doing something new, a new experience, a new challenge, looking at something differently, on the other side of that is very often the best version of ourselves. It's the next level of our business. It's the next level of our fitness. It's the next level of our well-being. It's the next level of our finances, next level of our relationships. If we cut back and play small, we're not going to get that. And then we feel not great about our own lives and our own situation and our own business. And that energy feeds out to everybody, right? I'm sure you've got people, I'm not saying it's you, right? I bet you've got people in your circle where that energy is just so negative right now. And it's not that they're a negative person. It's just that they've absorbed all that negativity, and they're believing it, and they're believing that they've got a lack of control, and that there's nothing they can do, and they feel very suppressed right now. So I want to acknowledge kind of like that psychology of it. If we don't already like change, and there's all this change going on in the first place, man, are we in a tough spot. And maybe, just maybe, it makes you feel, it does make you feel powerless, but maybe you were thinking after the pandemic, or maybe your clients or people in your circle, after the pandemic, you thought, oh, it might kind of be calm again. It might just be a little bit stable for a little bit. We can catch our breath, because it's been a real rough, 2 years or so. But I do point you in the direction of a conversation we had, Adam and myself at our Extraordinary Life event, where we said the pandemic, we were in the middle of it, and it was terrible, and there was so many impacts going on, and it was a lot to take in, and a lot of restrictions and all that kind of stuff. But we also said there's always something. There's always something. If it's not a pandemic, it's going to be something. And before the pandemic, it was other things, but everyone just conveniently forgot about those things because of the pandemic. But we didn't get that stability afterwards, because now we've got the high inflation and the high interest rates, and all the bills have gone up, and there's a war, and there's the politics, and all of that. There's always something. And I said that spring follows winter. So economically, it will, economically things will improve in time, right? But there will still be something. There will certainly always be the politics. There's going to be the climate. There's always going to be a war somewhere. There's always going to be something economically. There's always going to be something business-wise or industry-wise. There's always going to be something. There's always going to be something for you personally. Somebody gets ill, or somebody passes away, or something happens to you or your family, or there's always something. So if we're waiting for things to get better, if we think that our lives are going to get better if we think, well, I won't make any changes right now because it's kind of scary out there, but I'm going to wait until, we're going to be waiting forever, because they aren't going to get better. Right? It's not going to get to a point where nothing is happening in the world, and we can just kind of stroll down the road and there's nothing happening. There's always going to be something. But the important thing, and we hinted on this earlier, the important thing is pretty much everything we've just talked about is out of your control, is out of my control. I mean, unless you want to go into politics and, work your way up and infiltrate it that way, then knock yourself out. Cool. You probably need that, right? But all of that stuff is out of your control. So we get stuck because all of this stuff suppresses us, but it's out of our control, and then we feel helpless and hopeless and powerless, and that is not a great place to be. And I know I felt that in the past, and I know a lot of people are feeling it right now. But listen, I want to go a little bit deeper. I just want to pile it on a little bit. I know I've painted this picture quite vividly, but it's important to do that, because does that all sound quite scary? Yeah, it does. Does the fact that our brain, is looking out for this stuff and then making us play small, is that kind of scary? Yeah, it's kind of scary. But it's all out of our control, and it's going to happen anyway. So why don't we just kind of live our life? Because here's what I believe is really scary. Here's what I believe is really scary. What if in 6 months' time, 12 months' time, 2 years' time, 5 years' time, 10 years' time, you're exactly the same as you are right now? Your situation, your thinking, you're playing small, you're cutting back, you're not making the impact or the difference that you want. Maybe your relationship isn't kind of where you want it to be. Your fitness and health isn't where you want it to be. Your business isn't where you want it to be. Your finances aren't where you want them to be. What if in 6 months, 12 months, 5 years, 10 years time, that's not changed because we've been playing small and we've been waiting for the ideal time, waiting for things to change, waiting for things to get better, waiting for things to not be so scary. And you and I know that in actual fact, if in 6 months' time, 12 months' time, 5 years' time, for example, we say things are the same, you and I both know that that means worse. It ain't the same. If you neglect your relationship, if you don't put the effort in your relationship, in 5 years' time, do you think it's going to be the same as it is right now? Better or worse? It's going to be worse, right? And I'm not even talking about relationships where it's like, get the hell out. There are some of those, and it's like, make the decision. Tough decision. But man, if it's going to improve your quality of life, then get the support to do that. I'm talking about maybe just the spark's gone, right? But it's worth fighting for. But what are you waiting for? You're getting distracted by all this and working harder and longer and all this other stuff. Whereas the biggest difference to your life, your quality of life, would be your relationship. So isn't it worth fighting for? Isn't it worth putting the effort in now, not waiting for 5 years? Because if you wait, then, best case scenario, the relationship just not gone anywhere and is in a worse situation than it is. Worst case scenario, relationship doesn't exist. You're broken up, you're divorced or whatever, but maybe it was worth fighting for. But it's the same with your fitness. If you don't do anything with your fitness right now, if you don't change, if you go, well, this isn't the time to do that because, I can't afford a gym membership or I can't afford this. It's like, well, you can afford to walk, you can do body exercise. Somebody can show you how to do that. But if you don't do your fitness and your well-being right now, if you wait 5 years to that, is your health and well-being and your fitness going to be better, worse, or the same? It ain't going to be the same, is it? If you did exactly the same as what you're doing now, which might be like very little, for example, what's it going to be in 5 years' time? It's going to be worse. The same with your business. Your business isn't going to be in the place you want it to be. In fact, given the economics of the situation and given that business is based on economics, then, worst case scenario, you won't even have a business. And just think how that impacts your family, your lifestyle, but also all the people out there that need your help right now. And it's because you just played small and you didn't show up and you didn't invest in yourself to make this work and help the people out there that needed it at the time they needed it the most. Again, the same with your money. If you don't do anything with your money now, given inflation, given that currencies are eroding, right? The value of our currency is reducing. Why is that? Because of high inflation. It actually makes it cheaper for the government to pay back the loans. Don't even get started, right? You can't control that. But the money you got now is going to be probably potentially worth less in 5 years' time. So the economics don't, you need more of that in order to have the lifestyle that you want. You can't wait till things get better. So what's more scary now? Yeah, all this change and all this stuff, but then cutting back and maybe trying to just kind of hunker down, right? And see it out. What's scarier? Everything that's happening out there and you reacting like that, or not doing anything, or doing that and then in 5 years' time being the same, or more likely to be worse. Let me just stack this one more time, okay? Stack this one more time about what's really, really scary, and you would have heard me talk about this before, but I think what's really, really, really scary, and it's the thing that I think about every single day, it's something that inspires and motivates me, it fuels me. What I think is really, really, really scary is getting to the end of your life, and I truly hope that is many, many, many years ahead for you, right, and me, and for everybody I know, like getting to the end of your life with a whole bunch of regrets. The last days, hours, minutes of your life, and then suddenly realizing, man, I didn't have the relationships I wanted. I didn't create that business and have that impact and make that difference that I wanted. I didn't generate that money so there was a legacy, so I looked after my kids and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren. I didn't look after my health, which means I'm actually in this position now rather than in 10 years' time. I think that's the most scary thing. Getting to the end of your life and having a life full of regrets. And you will have heard me say this again in terms of one of my favorite motivational talks by Tom Bilyeu. And he says he'd heard a definition of hell being, you come to the end of your life and you meet the person you could have been. The definition of heaven is you meet the person in front of you and it's you staring back at you. That definition of hell, meeting the person you could have been, knowing you were made for more, knowing that you could have done more. But in these moments, these last moments, you suddenly realize it was all in your control, that you let the outside world dictate your quality of life. You let all that scary stuff that was completely out of your control dictate what you do or didn't do. In that moment, you realize you could have taken action. You could have picked up the phone. You could have worked on your relationship, your health, your business, your friendships. You could have worked on it, but you've got no time left. I tell you now, that is a vision that both haunts me and inspires and motivates me. I don't want to get there. You're looking at somebody who's died once, been taking their last 2 breaths twice, and decided to end it all. So I know I've experienced this very vividly, and trust me, I'm living it to the fullest. Other things I still want to do, and a lifestyle I want with my family, and experiences we want to go on that are just kind of out of our grasp right now. Absolutely. But we're working towards it, and we're not going to wait until then to live the life. We're going to make the most of every moment now. And some of that requires money, but some of it doesn't. In fact, a lot of it doesn't. What's scarier, people? Politicians changing, the economics, the bills. I get it, it's scary. Change, uncertainty, that's scary. Or is it more scary to not actually live the life that you were designed to live, the life that you were made for, your purpose, your mission in life, the people you can impact, the legacy that you can have? And I'm talking about some grandiose empire legacy. I'm talking about the legacy in your family and your friends and what you stood for, your values and what you did during tough times and how you supported them and helped them, and the standard that you set for yourself and them. That, isn't it more scary to know that you didn't tap into that? You didn't live your best, most extraordinary life? My case to you today is that, yeah, we can define a lot of the stuff out there is scary. But the most scary thing is that. The most scary thing is not doing anything, and at best being in, things being worse in 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years time. And then, but at worst, get to the end of your life knowing, oh man, give me another try, give me another go, because now I get it. And I haven't been in that place where it's kind of, I get it. Give me another go. I was lucky. I'm on my 5th chance. I'm not going to blow it. That's why I'm passionate about this kind of message. If this touches you, then give me a hell yeah, an amen in the comments. I can't see the comments. I will come back to them, honestly. Yeah, these things, live, eh? That's what's truly scary. You know, do you know what's really scary? That. And if you think, actually, you know what, just put this into perspective, stepping back, seeing it like this, you're right, Martin, that's scary, you know, say in the comments, right? And if I'm off base, if there's something else, then let me know, right? Because I might be able to, you know, talk around that and go, well, that's an interesting way of looking at it. So what can we do, right? We've covered the economy, the bills, the politics. We've covered about how we don't like change mindset ways. We've then talked about, you know, what if we don't change, you know, in the immediate future, you know, 5 to 10 years time, and what happens at the end of our life? You know, we've looked at all of that and we go, right, actually, you know, it's quite scary. I want to start living now, Martin. Martin, what can I do? Because all of this stuff, you're right, I can't control it. So what can I do? So here's where I can give you the framework, okay? The three points framework. Because it's not to say that we still won't have uncertainty. It's not to say we won't have worries or doubts or get scared from time to time. We're human beings. That's what happens, right? It's okay to feel that. What's not okay is living like that 24/7. You know, that's when it affects our quality of life. You know, the important thing is being able to respond to it and going, well, I'm not going to stay there. But you can't just like, I'm not going to stay there. It's like, you know, it's good to have a framework or a strategy to then get you out of it, right? And then you consistently use that. And something that I've used, and it's so powerful, but it's so simple as well, but most people don't do it, okay? Most people don't do it. A lot of people don't like where they are with their life or their business or their health or their relationship and all those kinds of things. They don't like where they're at, but what they don't do is define what they do want. You know, if you ask somebody what's wrong in their life, oh, they'll be able to list it all off, right? And you go, well, where do you want to be? It's like, well, that's a good question. I'm not quite sure. Well, that's a good question. You're never going to get somewhere if you don't know where you're going, right? That's why people stay stuck, because it's what they're used to, it's what they're comfortable with. Even in, you know, relationships that aren't serving us, or businesses or jobs that don't serve us, we stay there because our brain is going, well, at least I know this. Over there might be really scary. It's like, well, hold on a minute. I think we've just defined what's really scary. Not making that change, not making that chance, because if you at least do that, even if it doesn't work out the way you wanted it to, you're going to learn something and you're going to be more further forward. Learn something, be more forward, and then make another decision, right? Because that's then left behind where you were. Brilliant, right? So I encourage everybody to do. So what is the framework? It's very, very simple. And what I'm going to say is, because we've kind of talked about a lot, we talk about life really, we talk all those aspects. Just choose one thing, right? You can use this on anything, but kind of do it one at a time. If you try and change everything and radically change your entire life, right, it's going to be too overwhelming. You're not going to make the consistent actions to make that happen, right? So choose something. It might be just something in your life right now that isn't quite where you want it to be. I don't care, and I've used these examples, right? It's like your health, your well-being, your business, your relationships, your finances. You know, it could be the amount of stress that you've got. It might be that the very fact that you're going, God, look at all this, and I'm constantly feeling stressed and under pressure and overwhelmed by it all, and I don't know what to do. And it's like, right, okay, that might be you. So pick something, one thing, and then use the 3 W's, I call them, right? The 3 W's. And the first W is what. What do you want it to look like? So the thing that you don't like at the moment, the thing that's frustrating you, the thing that's stressing you, the thing that you're scared about, the thing that you're not living that best life right now, the thing that you want to improve, but you're feeling like you're not going to, or you can't at the moment, or whatever that is, right? What do you want it to look like? You know where you are. Your honesty of where you are right now is your kind of your starting point on your sat nav. What we need is a destination. If you ain't got a destination, you ain't going to reach it for a start, because you don't even know what it is, but you're very unlikely to get out of the situation you're in. And then you're going to be in that situation that we said, well, 6 months, 12 months, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years time, you're not where you want to be. And you live in that same life, which actually is worse than what it was, 3-10 years ago. Right? So let's get clear on what it is. And when I say clear, I mean like really describe it, write it down, right? Really get clear as to what that is, what it would feel like, what experience that would be. What does it taste like? What does it smell like? Literally close your eyes and step into that moment. Let your whole body feel it. What is it that you want? So if you want to work on your health, for example, it's like, what would it feel like to have the health that you want? And literally go through it. What would you be able to do as a result of that? Or it's your business. What does it look like? How is it structured? You don't have to be in the business all the time. It's still making money and it's still making an impact and a difference out there, right? Somebody else can come in and run it, or whatever it might be. What do you want it to look like? How do you want it to run? How do you want personally? How do you want to be? If you don't want to be stressed all the time or overwhelmed all the time about the amount of work you got to do or the bills or whatever it is, right? If that wasn't the case, how do you want to feel? Right? Really get clear on the what. And I know it sounds so simple and it seems like sucking eggs, but it's so damned important. I cannot tell you how important that is, right? Because if you don't have it, you won't reach it. You won't even get halfway there. You won't improve where you are. You'll kind of just keep trying things and there'll be shiny things. Or in these economic times, you're more likely just to not do anything and just hunker down and hope, wish and pray it'll all work out. That's what a lot of my stressed dads in the corporate world do. They're stressed, they're overwhelmed, they don't know where to turn, they're working harder and longer, and they're just hoping, wishing and praying that it's going to work out somehow. Well, I know how that works out because I spent 20 years doing that, and it's not pretty, right? It's why I help them, but it's why I can then help other people with their stresses in their life and their overwhelming life. And because I've then run a business and the circles I'm in and what I've learned and all the training I've been through, I can help people with their business side. So we work on the stress bit and then we work on the business side, right? But get clear on the what. What is it that you want? The second W of the three is why. Why do you want it? Again, it's such a simple question. Such a simple question, but why do you want it? You've painted this picture. You know what it is, what it feels like, what it smells like, what it tastes like. It's like, man, I want that. Your brain is going, oh, I'm so crystal clear on that. It's going to find ways to make that happen. You're going to hear conversations that can help you along that path that you wouldn't have heard otherwise because it wasn't clear before, right? You're going to pay attention to things. Things are going to kind of come into your world that you're going to pay attention to. You're going to go, oh, it connects the dot because I'm clear on that. But what we want to do is we want to attach a massive, deep, purposeful why to it. Why do you want that? Why is it so important? And I'm not talking about the first surface level why, okay? Fine, ask yourself why, and then I want you to ask it 7 times. It's one of my favorite frameworks. It's 7 layers deep, or 7 levels deep. You ask yourself why 7 times. So, why do you want that? Oh, I want it because of this. Cool. Well, why is that important to you? Well, it's important to me because, okay. Well, and why is that? Well, that's because of this. Well, that's interesting. So what is it about that that's really important to you? Do that 7 times. You're going to get out of here, out of your head, all the logic, and you get into here, into your heart. You're going to feel it. Why do this? Ironically, why would you want a powerful why? Because it is going to drive you forward. If you've got a powerful enough why, you'll find ways to do it when things get tough, when things get difficult, when things don't work out as planned. I use the fitness example quite a lot. When it's cold, rainy and wet outside, your deepest why will help you go and work out, even though it's cold, wet and dark, right? But if you just go, oh, I just want to get fit, don't I, because I've neglected it, like that didn't motivate anybody. But if it's a case of, I really want to, do this because I want to chase my kids around the garden. I want to be there for not just them, but I want to be there around for the grandchildren, and I want to take them on incredible experiences in the mountains and on lakes, and I just want to live an active lifestyle. It's like, okay, right, there's more at stake. I'll do it when it's cold, wet, and dark. But you apply the same principle to your relationship. The same principle to your business. Same principle to your lifestyle and how you wish to be and how you want to live purposefully and not be stressed and not overwhelmed and all that kind of. Why is it so important to you? It's why most New Year's resolutions, don't go past 2 weeks. There's no what. It's like they just come up with I want to work on this year. right? By life's taken over in 2 weeks and it's gone. There's no chance. Be it fitness or be it anything else in life that they've decided they might work on. They haven't actually got crystal clear on what it is for a start, which is very often the case, but they certainly haven't gone deep into why that's so important and why it doesn't just become this is something I want to do, this is something I must do, right? It's not even, it's like not want, it's not need, it's I must do it. I know that resonates with Adam, right? Very into that. What is it that you must do? The why gives you that. And like I say, it's about, because there will always be challenges. Things won't always work out. And in economic tough times, right? There's tough times ahead. So we can't just give up on the first sign of trouble. Your sat-nav doesn't do that. You don't stick in the destination and there's a road closure and it goes, well, sorry, Martin, better turn back home. It just finds you another route. This is what we need to do. But unless you've got a why, unless you've got a really, a good why to why you want to go to the destination, you will turn back. You'll start playing small again and go back to what you're comfortable with. Go back to what you know, because it's not so scary, right? What and why? If this is resonating, then let me know in the comments. Again, it's simple but so powerful. I can't tell you how powerful it is. The third one, the third W of the 3 W's, is one that people get the wrong way around. It's the same letters, but they mix them up. They usually go what, why, so how. So I know what I want, I know why, how am I going to do it, right? And then they how all over themselves, right? They go, oh yeah, but how am I going to find the energy to do that? How am I going to find the time to do that? How am I going to find the money to do that? How am I going to find the mental capacity to do that? How am I going to find the support to do that? All of a sudden you've howled your way out of it, right? Because your brain is now coming up with all the obstacles as to why you can't do it, ironically. Even if you've got a strong what and why, if you then start going with the how, you'll soon get very lost in the hows, and then you'll realize, wow, there's so much I don't know, I'm not even sure it's worth starting. We've all been there with these things, right? We want to do something, we go, I have no idea where to start. And how often do you then not see it through? Because you don't even know where to start. It's the how. And of course you don't know where to start. Of course you don't know what the actions are. Of course you don't know what to do because you haven't done it before. Right? So the third W is not how. We just switch the letters around and we go, who? Here's what I want. Here's why. Who can help me get there? Who? And who, the who you're looking for is not just any old who. It's not your mate down the pub. The who is somebody who's been there, done it, is already on the journey or achieved it already. The who is somebody that is already there, and maybe there is a fourth. Hey Jamie, good to see you, my friend. The fourth, maybe there's a fourth W in this, is who is willing to help you and share with you how they did it. I'm not saying you just have to then copycat and replicate somebody, right? You've still got to make it your own. You still got to be yourself. You still got to do what's right for you. But if you can learn somebody else's strategy, framework, what have I just given you? I've given you a framework. I've given you the 3 W's. It's a very powerful framework. If you use it, you can improve any area of your life. Use it for anything. I'm telling you to choose one thing right now, right? And then get some traction with that. I'm a who can help you with that, right? So go and find out if it's in your business, if it's with your stress, if it's with your well-being, if it's with your fitness, if it's with your money, whatever area it is who can I tap into that can help me? Or who do I know that might know somebody that could help me? Again, don't get stuck going, I have no idea. I don't know anybody like that. It's like, but who do you know? Like, and it's not a loaded thing. It's like, actually, there's one right here. Like everything we've talked about here, I could be your first point of call. I might not be the person that ultimately then goes on to help you with some of the nuances of something very specific that you want to do, but maybe we could get really clear on it. Maybe we could find the path and maybe we can go and discover that person. How helpful would that be? Or maybe I am the person. maybe I can help you lead with live with a bit more passion and purpose and mission, and live without so much stress and that overwhelm and that exhaustion all the time and that frustration and all that scary stuff. We put it into perspective, and we do that on a regular basis so that it's not freaking you out all the time, and that you're actually being able to live a better quality of life. If you just did that, that would be so powerful. You would feel it, your friends and your family would feel it, let alone the fact that then we could then go on and go, right, okay, you say about the income, that's worrying about it. What is it? What business do you own? And where can we take that? And what does that look like? Who can we serve right now during these economic times? And what can we look at? I can bring all of that into it. I'm not a business coach. If you want to go into all the nuances of business, you can go and speak to Adam. But I can set you off. This is where I love speaking to my like stressed dads and people. We work on the stress, and then we end up talking business. And I then able to apply what I've learned from the best people in the world, apply to my business, and then I go, hey, this worked. This seems quite important. Let's look at this. So when you get clear on what it is you want, why it is that you want it, and who can help you, you are off and running. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not going to say that there's not going to be any challenges along the road. But man, if you apply that compared with somebody who doesn't, and just, like we said earlier, just starts cutting back, playing small because of everything that's going on, and is fearful of what's happening, well, it's chalk and cheese as to where that person is going to be in 6 months' time, 12 months' time, 3 years' time, 5 years' time, 10 years' time. And all I want for you is to live your best life, whatever you define that as. And everybody has a different definition. You want your best life, your most extraordinary life, a life worth remembering, a successful life, whatever that means to you. And it's not all about money. I think that's clear. Again, a lot of what we're fearful of is about money. And then we get so caught up in the money situation, the money conversation, not realizing that actually there's a whole bunch of stuff that fills our cup and lights us up that's not to do with money, right? So we've got to kind of distinguish them, but we can still do things about the money. There are very practical things. If you've got the internet right now, which you have because you're listening to this, you've got more resources than anyone who has come before you in the history of the world at your fingertips, probably in your pocket. Resources are not the issue. Information and education is not the issue, because it's abundant out there. The issue is getting resourceful enough with a structure, with a framework, with a strategy that can help you, and a perspective that can help you. And very often that comes from understanding what it is that you want, why you want it, and then go and finding somebody who can help you. I truly hope that this has been, I know we've had a good session today. I hope this has really helped. I'm here to literally, given everything that's going on, all the conversations I've been having with people, everybody's fears and doubts and concerns, and the repetitive conversations that I'm hearing, I just wanted to come in, be really honest about where we are, acknowledge that can feel scary, but really, and a bit of psychology there as well, about we don't like change and uncertainty anyway, but then what's truly scary? I think we've really covered that, and if that's touched your heart, then please leave those comments, because I'd love to hear from you. And when we look at that in terms of where we want to be in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, but really we're on our deathbed, we don't want the regrets. So how are we going to live today in order to not have the regrets in hopefully decades and decades of time in the future? We've got to live it now. We can't wait to live it, because it'll never be an ideal time. It'll never be perfect. Something will always be happening, and we're always going to have these thoughts going on in our head, and all these stories that we tell ourselves, because we're great storytellers. Unfortunately, most of the stories we tell ourselves are ones that are kind of negative and are holding us back. And I love to help people with busting those beliefs, slaying those dragons, that. So this is my only purpose here, is to be really honest with you about where we are right now, where things are heading, in these coming years, but then giving you some certainty, not just hope, not just inspiration and motivation, but giving you something that you can practically go away and look at right now. And unfortunately, I also know that many people that will watch this, they won't do it, and then they won't get the results, and they'll be in exactly the position that we described earlier. But for those of you that do, for those of you that take that action, that are clear on the what, go deep on the why, and then go and find the who can help. And if that's me, it'll be an absolute privilege and pleasure to help you. Drop me a comment, leave me a direct message, or book a call with me. It'd be an absolute privilege if I'm the person that then takes you on that journey, or whether together we discover what that journey is going to be, and then we discover who can help you. Either way, to get you started or to continue the journey. You know, that's why I'm here. I'm here to serve you. And like I said, just to repeat, I just want you to live your most extraordinary life, your best life, your most successful life, the life worth remembering that means something to you. And it starts right here. And sometimes it can be as simple as a 3-step framework that just asks you 3 simple questions: what, why, and who, that can really make all the difference. And start that now. Thank you so much for your time. I'd love to hear what you thought. I will catch up with all the comments afterwards, because they haven't come up during the live, and that's okay. And if there's any questions you've got, just ask them, right? Again, send them a message or comment below, and I will get back to you on them, on anything that we've covered today. And if, like I say, if you want to talk this through personally in terms of your personal circumstances, because that's the best thing to do, is to talk it through and get that perspective, then please just shout out, and we can hook something up and we'll have a call. So again, thank you so much for joining me on this Halloween special, but it's suitable for in the entire year, right? Do you know what's truly scary? What's really scary? I think we've covered that. I'm giving you 3 powerful questions to help you move forward. Thank you so much, and I'll speak to you again soon.